Do it. Yeah, my nose is right here.
Baby butt. I'll edit out the baby butt with my arm.
Mom. Some.
Hey, Mom, would you like to print me out some things?
No, let's finish the book that you have.
No!
And our case.
Ryder. Hey, psst. Ryder. What are you doing? What are you doing? Take him, please. I'm starting. All right. Okay, YouTube, look at all these comments already. So many people watching. All right. Hello to all of our invisible friends out there, out there in the internet. Coming at you live from the mountains of Ecuador. And let's see, I'm trying to get my desktop organized here so I can see what you guys are saying. What's up, everybody? Emily Morgan, hello. Bong Flash is back. Bong Flash is. I've got Bong Flash and Mutant Stoner. Bong Flash and Mutant Stoner, both names popping up on the screen. What's up? Adam Franz, what's up, man? Adam Franz says, what are your thoughts on Greek yogurt? Seems to be high in sugar. All right, so Greek yogurt. I mean, that's like saying, what are your thoughts on yogurt? Or what are your thoughts on mayonnaise? Right? I mean, there's a million different ways to make mayonnaise. You can have mayo that's right or down below. You could have mayonnaise that's made with olive oil that you make at home. You know, like a mayonnaise that, don't you have a mayonnaise recipe in the Ketogenic Edge cookbook, Jessica?
I do indeed.
How can you make mayonnaise at home?
It's egg yolk, olive oil, lemon juice or apple cider vinegar, and a little bit of salt. You mix that with an immersion blender or in a food processor.
There you go. Real simple recipe for like a nutrient-dense whole foods and all whole foods ingredients. Mayonnaise. Will you take them, please? Now, you could also go to the store and buy mayonnaise that's got like, what is it? Like
oil,
partially hydrogenated vegetable oil, soybean oil, corn oil, various vegetable oils, industrial waste products, like the stuff that idiots like San Joaquin putting out this What the Health movie would promote, corporate waste product diet stuff. I mean, there's a big difference, right? You get mayo that you make at home, made with olive oil, or, corporate monopoly waste product. Corn oil, soy oil, bunch of crap, low quality vinegar. So what are your thoughts on Greek yogurt, you ask me? Well, you can get some Greek yogurts that are full fat yogurt that have a relatively good fat content, that are super low in carbohydrates, and many of the carbs will be fermented out, right? Or you can get full fat yogurt a Greek yogurt that's low fat, that has added sugar, right? Because low fat, high carb is the answer to everything, according to the current dietary guidelines pushed by, most governments, than the AHA and stuff like that. So, yeah, different ways to go about it. I would say that a Greek yogurt that you can find that's like full fat, that's made from raw milk, or how about this? Getting your own Greek yogurt culture, sourcing some high quality grass-fed milk, and making your own full fat Greek yogurt to where that it's high quality. So yeah, in that case, Greek yogurt might be awesome in the context of a ketogenic diet. Now, if you're not doing keto and you're eating more carbohydrates, or if you're just doing like a lower carb diet, some people do like, 100 grams of carbs a day, or they're eating low carb and they're on the outskirts of ketosis, not in that metabolic limbo phase of going too low carb and too low fat at the same time. But a lot of people find a nice balance on just a low carb diet, right? So if you're into that, then Greek yogurt's awesome. I think it's a great food if it's from high quality dairy, not the antibiotic injected, the hormone. I mean, I don't need to go through it. The grain-fed, inflammatory grain-fed, fattened up, mass-produced commercial dairy cattle. I'm not into that, right? Well, you could see it in the linguistic tone of what I'm saying and how I'm speaking about it. Not such a big fan of that stuff. Sarah Missour, what's up? Christine says, I went to a barbecue yesterday. Lots of keto food, but I also drank wine with friends. That's on me. Well, what's wrong with drinking wine with friends? What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. All right, so you went to a barbecue. There's lots of keto-friendly foods. That's awesome. Today is the day after the 4th of July. So a lot of Americans would have gotten together with their friends and families yesterday. Social situations can be kind of difficult when you're trying to make lifestyle changes, when you're trying to make yourself better, when you're trying to get on a diet that will support your body, that'll give you more vitality, that will allow you to access more of your life force. A lot of the times, social situations can be difficult, can be kind of a mental and psychological impediment to progress. But when you go into those situations like barbecues and stuff, I think just having a simple foundation of go-to foods that you can always hit up at a barbecue, you can always get at a restaurant, right? I mean, if you're going to a barbecue, there's going to be slabs of meat. You pick a protein-based food. You avoid the roots, the French fries, the potato chips, the junk food. You eat if you guys are grilling bratwurst or something, whatever it is, burgers, you have the burgers without a bun. You eat the vegetables, right? Hey, burger without a bun, cheeseburger without a bun even, right? As long as you don't have like a sensitivity to dairy. Nothing wrong with having cheese and dairy on a ketogenic diet. So if you're going to these events, you're enjoying the presence of others, don't trip so much about the diet and, having to hit your macros exactly. Enjoy the community aspect of what you're doing. Enjoy people's presence. And, just stick to foods that are keto friendly and move forward, move on. Some wine is not counterproductive to a healthy lifestyle, to the individuals who said that and seem to have like a guilt thing about it. If you're drinking wine with your friends and you feel guilty about it, then, you know, I mean, you're creating a stress situation right there, right? Anything you feel conflicted about that you're doing is going to create an energy leakage. You're not going to put all of it into it. It takes you out of the moment when you're double-minded and conflicted about these things. So if you're going to have some wine, own it, enjoy it, and move on. Yes, when you drink alcohol, you're not going to be burning body fat for the time that the alcohol is in your blood. You're also not going to burn carbohydrates either. Now, many people who get obsessed with like measuring blood ketones, they'll find that their blood ketones go up with alcohol consumption. And that's probably because alcohol has to be consumed first, and the ketones stop getting shuttled into the cells, into the brain, which is the most metabolically active part of the body. And alcohol has to be burned because it's toxic if it builds up with enough gusto in the blood. So you got to clear it out. So that's why people will see higher ketones when they do have wine. That doesn't mean you're burning more body fat though, right? People make the confusing connection that more ketones equals more results, or more ketones equals more body fat loss. That's simply not the case. You can artificially elevate ketones, remember, just by taking exogenous ketones. But that's an exogenous energy source that we have to burn before we'll actually burn the ketones, before we'll actually burn our own body fat, right? So more ketones does not equal more fat loss. Got to remember that. All right. Look at all these. Bong Flash says Stoner and Bong are always here. Yeah, what's up? Got Stoners and Bongs coming here. This is crazy. My childhood is coming back to haunt me. Okay. Indeed paradoxical. I switch up from time to time. Blah, blah. Okay. You got a lot of people. Everybody likes to talk and banter on these things. I like it. You guys are all talking amongst yourselves. What's up? Sonia Nyberg. What's up, Sonia? She asked what time it is here. Here it's 1:15. Creative Bond. Hello. Okay. Sean Kelly says, what up from Salt Lake City? Question. Do you guys eat your sauerkraut with all your meals or once a day? I haven't eaten sauerkraut in a few months. We go through a lot of phases, right? I mean, you go through certain phases of really enjoying certain foods, and then they get kind of phased out. So we actually have not been consuming a huge amount of sauerkraut. Do you need to eat sauerkraut with every meal? No, of course not. Do you need to eat sauerkraut at all? Of course not. Can it be a beneficial way to get, good bacteria in there, good lactobacillus strains in your gut? Seems like it. So, yeah, I mean, sauerkraut's great, but you don't have to eat it every meal, and I don't eat it every meal. All right, so recently, the one food, I think for the last 2 days, every meal I've had has had avocado with it. So every meal I've eaten for 2 days has had some avocado, and I do love avocado. All right. It's the one food that I've been eating. All right. Christine, what's up? Emolier, hello. Kathleen Gebhardt. Adam Franz. Denise Campbell, what's up, Denise? Denise is a client. She says, I'll send you an update later today. Yeah, Denise, I emailed you this morning. Thank you for getting back to me. Yeah, let me know how it's going, Denise. All right. Belle Green from Little Italy. What's up, man? From Italy, not Little Italy. Little Italy. Little Italy. All right. Belle Green says, I love homemade mayo. I use extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. I don't know about the avocado oil. For me, I've not enjoyed the taste of it much. I like just straight avocado with the fiber. I like the avocados, like the more Haas type avocados that are a little bit more dry and like buttery. Not into the watery avocados. But yeah, the straight oil, not such a big fan. Just as far as like taste and texture. For nutrition, totally fine. Nothing wrong with avocado oil. Hopefully the brand you buy is high quality and they're not using solvents to strip it, which can kind of leach into it. You get some of the solvents can get into some of these oils that are more processed. And avocado oil, it takes a few steps to get from a straight avocado to avocado oil. I kind of like to eat the straight avocado. That's how I prefer it. Thanks for the questions, or the comment rather, Belle Green. All right. Let's see. Marie says, what are your thoughts on Stephanie Person? I don't know why you're asking that. What are my thoughts on? I mean, what are your thoughts, right? I don't know. I don't really think much about like the actual people and the personality. Try to put that aside and look at information. I talked to Stephanie. She came on my channel in the past. What are my thoughts on her? I don't know. What are yours? Sarah Major, Paradox. I still have on. Okay, well, let's see. All right. And just for the audience and like for Marie Murphy, I mean, don't try and come in here or go on other channels and start bitterness and strife between people, right? This is something that I saw happen last week, and it was kind of sad and pathetic to see like the audience beckoning forth these negative reactions from this individual. And I don't know, I think she might have taken the videos down where she bashed me and bashed Dominic D'Agostino and other people. But look, let's take responsibility just even as like audience members. Why would you try and start infighting and bickering? Come on, let's not be childish. Let's not do childish playground tactics and try to start infighting among people and pick on their insecurities and stuff like that. I don't think it's cool. Let the people be. Don't go to other people's channel and start asking, oh, like, what do you think about this person or that person? If you're just looking for negative reactions and you're just looking for stupid drama, you know, that's no fun. Let's look at content, right? Okay. Dan M says, how many meals per day do you eat? In what intervals of time? And what do you eat? And do you work out? If yes, when? So many questions, Dan M. All right. How many meals a day do I eat? As many as I want. Sometimes I eat 2 meals a day. A few days ago, I had 1 meal because I was really busy. When I got home and I wasn't that hungry, I skipped the second meal. A lot of days I'll have 2 meals a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. So about 8 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning, I'll have my first meal usually within an hour of waking up. Then sometimes I'll have lunch in the middle of the day, depending on if I've been working out, what my energy levels are like. You know, I mean, it's just depending on a bunch of lifestyle factors. So I might have lunch, and I usually eat my last meal around 6 o'clock or so. So that's my usual spread. It's not intermittent fasting, actually. I've done intermittent fasting, actually did it for years. But I found that for me, I prefer to eat breakfast. So if I am going to intermittent fast, which is just eating in a restricted eating window, you're eating for less time. For people who are on a carbohydrate-based diet, this kind of gets them on the outskirts of ketosis. And the effects of the slightly elevated ketones are giving these people a little taste of what it's like to be on like a ketogenic diet, right? So for that fasting period, they're burning body fat. Usually people feel more clear-headed before they eat when they're doing an IF or intermittent fasting. They get kind of the benefits, the cognitive benefits to a slight degree that a ketogenic diet or straight up fasting will give you. But the way I like to do it with keto, most of the time, if I don't need to eat more, if I'm not trying to gain weight or something, which I'm not right now, I don't have any, goals that require me to gain weight. I actually have no fitness goals set at all right now. I'm just enjoying a balanced lifestyle of meaningful movement as well as, meaningful, nourishing diet. So I do kettlebell stuff. I actually did bench press the other day and did a heavyweight, more like a powerlifting workout for the first time in months. I did that the other day. So, I mean, I shake it up a lot. I change my routine all the time, but it always comes down to a nutrient-dense whole foods diet, not frequent eating and frequent snacking. And yeah, just getting the most out of every meal is kind of what I try to go for, right? So everything I put in my body, it has a purpose. Sometimes the purpose is some taste and texture, but most of the time I try to focus that intention on nutrient density, how it makes me feel, and how it makes my body and my mind perform. Because, I mean, the diet's not just there for mouthfeel and temporary pleasure. Like once you actually get that ingrained in your consciousness, when you understand that there's more to diet than just masturbating your mouth, right? That there's more to diet than masturbating your mouth. Title of this video. Write that down later if I remember it. Okay. But when you realize that there's more of the diet than mouthfeel, than temporary sensory pleasure that fades and goes away, right? The temporary pleasure that fades and go away, that advertisers prey on, right? That this corporate filth diet that we're spoon-fed through media conglomerates, government, the military, industrial, pharmaceutical, medical, agricultural complex. The shit we're spoon-fed through that. What was I getting at? I'm seeing comments now and I'm losing my navigation through my rant. But anyways, nutrient density in diet. Meal timing is not as important as meal quality, food quality. Although I try not to eat at night, Dan M. I try not to eat at night after the sun goes down. I try to minimize my food intake. Hey, but every once in a while, I'll end up being out for a whole day and I don't get to eat. You know, I'll have breakfast. I'll be out busy working on stuff, not around to eat, not hungry, not thinking about food. And I'll come back later at night, 8 or 9 o'clock after the sun goes down. Sometimes I'll have a meal later at night, but I find that my sleep quality greatly diminishes the later I eat. And if you look at the studies and the research on the circadian rhythms of our hormones, on studies of feeding windows and meal timing, where they even equated for caloric intake, protein, fat, and carbohydrate macros, meal timing, people who eat later at night lose less body fat than those who eat early in the day. So the intermittent fasting thing of like, oh, the myth that breakfast is the most important meal. Well, while there are benefits to fasting, acute benefits, I'm not such a big fan of using intermittent fasting across the board just as like a general strategy. In specific circumstances, it's really useful. But IF plus keto is not like this ultimate panacea, right? You don't have to do IF to get all the benefits of a ketogenic diet. You don't have to do a ketogenic diet to get not all the benefits, but to get the benefits of a nutrient-dense, well-rounded diet. There's plenty of ways to do a whole foods, nutrient-dense, well-rounded diet based around nutrient-dense organic foods, right? There's a lot of different ways to do it other than just keto. But keto is my favorite tool. Keto is my favorite dietary structure. And it's kind of the foundation of my healthy diet. All right, Ollie Ewan, what's up, man? Feel great on 250 grams protein, 250 grams fat, 20 grams carbs. Not that deep ketosis, but still get the mental, emotional, and inflammatory benefits, anti-inflammatory benefits, rather, while feeling powerful and building muscle due to the higher protein. So there's Ollie Ewan eating pretty dang high protein, right? 250 grams of protein. I mean, I don't know. Ollie, in the picture you got there, you don't look that big, man. 250 grams of protein might be a little excessive for the digestion, but hey, if it's working for you, it's fine, man. I've seen the studies on protein and kidney function. The vegan crowd, the zealot crowd, for whatever reasons, likes to latch onto these fear tactics. Fear of protein. Protein's going to make your kidneys bleed you to death. Protein's going to destroy your inner organs, going to destroy your digestion. They've done studies on massively high protein intake, and there was no disruption in renal function, and actually seemed to be really a lot of benefits for lean muscle mass retention and for the synthesis of lean muscle mass. So I got nothing against high protein diets. I don't recommend high protein diets, right? Regardless of what other people say about what my content is about. I'm not about a high protein diet. Never have been, never will be. Well, I'm not saying never will be, but I'm all about giving yourself adequate protein, sufficient protein, not starving the body for amino acids that it requires and needs, right? I'm not proteinophobic, but I'm not a proteinophile. Actually, no, I do like protein. It's an important macro, right? It's the most satiating of macros. It's the most satiating of macros. And for fat loss, across the board, across all macro spreads, not just a ketogenic diet, but all diets, for fat loss diets, protein's the cornerstone that you build the whole thing around, that you build the meals around, because it's the most satiating macro. All right. Emolier, what's up? Tristan, you cracked me up. I was just listening to you go on about Timothy Leary earlier and cracking up while driving. I forget what I said about Timothy Leary, but there's something about him being like a bug-eyed psycho at the end of his life, right? Like, what happened? All these people involved in this, the so-called counterculture of the 60s, when you actually look at the fruits of the labor, right? Like, what is it? It's funny. You know what I mean? I grew up being, I bought into like the whole counterculture thing, right? When I was a kid, like I thought it was so awesome. Oh, look at what these people were doing in the 60s. They were trying to change the world, stop the war, this and that. But then when you actually study the history, when you actually study the media, the propaganda, the public relations that was going on at the time, and you look at like the historical documents, which, you know, the magazines, the television advertisements, the corporate funded, sponsored music that was being put out, you actually like look at it, it's pretty funny, right? Like Timothy Leary, I mean, people talk about Timothy Leary like he's some genius. I don't know about that, man. To me, Timothy Leary, definitely not impressed with the fruits of his labor. He was an Aleister Crowley acolyte, obsessed with Crowley. Actually said publicly that he was continuing Aleister Crowley's work. Crowley. Yeah, he saw himself as like the reincarnation of Aleister Crowley. I don't know. Timothy Leary, not a fan. Look at him at the end of his life. He just looked, his eyes are all psycho, bugged out. He was like, I saw this interview with him, and he was so desperately trying to sound intelligent, to sound cutting edge, but rehashing the same tropes that he's been throwing out there the whole time, right? What was he saying? Tune in, turn on, drop out. Talked about masturbating your mouth earlier. That whole counterculture situation, the way I see it, what it ended up being was a giant masturbation of the mind of an entire generation to distract them from what they really started trying to do, right? You give them bread and circuses, lights, sounds, light shows, sound shows, drugs, right? That was the bread and circuses of the time. And it bought a lot of time for the whole steam train to keep on moving forward. Interesting. Okay. Sarah Mazur says, I want to overcome the stigma and fear because I think I'm learning to trust my body. The stigma and fear of what? Let's see. Let's go. Sarah, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? She says you've been craving protein, eggs, pulled pork, mouth watering. Why are you craving protein? Are you starving yourself for protein, Sarah? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Thanks for dropping in. I think you're a regular. You've been here many times. My Yang says, Tristan, if I eat a ketogenic diet but have unplanned cheats, is it detrimental to my health? I hear it's bad to mix high fat with high carb, but what if they're different meals in the same day? Great question. My Yang, there's a lot of different angles we can take on this one. It sounds like what you're really asking me, never mind, keep clicking, it's just loud. It sounds like what you're really asking me is more something along the lines of, I don't know, it's like what you're exposing right there is you don't have really a desire to do a ketogenic diet, right? What do you mean? So you're going to unplanned cheats? It's like you're already planning to give in to the basic desires and the old habits. Like you're already submitting to the sudden craving for junk food. What's up with that? A ketogenic diet with unplanned cheats all the time can definitely result in fat gain, right? In more insulin resistance, right? Because high carb combined with high fat is a formula for insulin resistance and weight gain. In nature, we are meant to be able to gain weight, to become insulin resistant quickly and gain body fat. It's good. It's a healthy response to a surplus of food when you might have a harsh winter coming, right? Food happens in cycles. Carbohydrates are yoked to the sunlight, to the cycles of light, to the circadian rhythm of the earth and seasons. They're only available seasonally. So when they're seasonally available, our body is triggered to gorge on them, right? We don't have this like, oh, that's enough, I should stop. We have to consciously override the animal nature of our body that's just trying to survive in this cushy environment that we've created for ourselves. When we have massive amounts, we have overnutrition, right? We've got loads of processed, refined foods that never go bad. Everybody's pantry can instantly be stocked up with junk food that will make them insulin resistant, all over the place as far as blood sugar goes, and unfortunately inflamed. And shoot, when you actually look at it a little bit deeper, when you look at all the additives in the foods, the the glyphosate, so not only is it making us inflamed, it's breaking down our gut-brain barrier and making us dumber, making us more permeable to this toxic load that we're constantly being inundated with through the environment that, I mean, that's how it is. I'm not trying to be negative here, freak you out. It's not about fear. It's actually about taking control, right? It's about taking control of our diet, taking control of our habits. And when you ask me my yang, if a ketogenic diet is okay with like unplanned cheats all the time, and you're saying like, maybe have one meal that's a right keto meal, and then later on, I'll just do a whatever meal. Is that going to be okay for your health? Detrimental for your health, you're asking? Absolutely. It's basically what most Americans are trying to lose weight are doing. They try to do some form of a healthy diet, right? Whether it's like they buy into the low carb or the low fat vegan diet, or they buy into the like low carb keto style diet, or a paleo diet, this diet, that diet, zone diet, blah, 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 all these different diets. What a lot of people do is they start trying to eat healthy, and then they end up binging and gorging because they haven't reformatted the habits or their relationship with food. So my yang, you want to be successful on a ketogenic diet, you shouldn't be asking yourself these questions of, is it all right if I just cheat all the time on it? You should be asking yourself, why am I unable to stick with the plan? Why is it so easy for me to give into the animal nature of my body and the desire to gorge constantly, right? Why can't I switch that off? That's an energy leakage. If we're not in control of the body, what is? What's in control there, my yang? What's running the ship? What's driving the car? Okay. Andrew Olson says, really odd question. I like that. He says, really odd question, but you live in the Andes on the outskirts of a small town. How good can your internet connection possibly be? This stream is pretty flawless. That's awesome to hear. I'm glad that the stream is flawless. I don't know. I'm supposed to get 10 megs. I don't know what I'm getting. I pay $84 a month for supposedly 10 megabytes. Very expensive here. I don't know. The internet's all right here. I'm glad it's working now. Okay. Let's see. Sean says, will you discuss your removal of mercury amalgam fillings? I have several. I'm considering removal using Higgins protocol. Cost will be about 20 grand. Worth it in your opinion? $20,000. Man. All right. So I had I have 5 or 6 mercury fillings removed 12 years ago. Lobster Dust is super funny. He's making a joke. He says, Tristan, I'll read this question later. I had my mercury amalgam fillings removed 2008. 2008 or 2009. I think 2008. 2008 had the mercury amalgam fillings removed. It was not a perfect procedure. I was working with a biological dentist. I forget what they call themselves. With a dentist that doesn't use fluoride, a neurotoxin, which drops children's IQ significantly, right? There's a Harvard study recently released about fluoride dropping children's IQs. How insane is this? And then the Australian government has the audacity to go out there and declare by royal decree, as if it's spoken by the gods themselves, because they're the Australian government, who also demonize ketogenic diets, fats, saturated fat, and promote a toxic waste, industrial waste, corporate controlled diet. The Australian government has said that there's nothing wrong with fluoride. It's great. Yeah, okay. So if you want people with a lower IQ, right, with dielectric blockers that block the uptake of iodine into the thyroid, that destroy the function of the endocrine system, like fluoride, then if you want people dumber and more easily kept in line, then maybe fluoride is a good idea. But anyways, I had my mercury amalgams removed by one of these biological dentists who doesn't, not someone who's bought the fluoride Kool-Aid, somebody who, Dr. David Biles in Santa Cruz, super nice guy. Pretty awake guy, very, very intelligent guy. Hope he's still around. David Biles was that 8 years ago. My experience with it, I was happy to get it removed. I probably had significant exposure during the removal, even though we used the dams and everything. We did the whole, not exactly the Higgins protocol. We didn't go that far. I'm glad I got them removed, but I don't know. Would I do it again? I just don't know. It feels good not to have those mercuries in there, right? Sean Corbell, I don't know, man. Worth it, in my opinion, worth $20,000. I don't know. You got to make up your own mind. That's your money. It's your body. It's your health. If you're going to be walking around with those mercury amalgam fillings and you believe, right, if you've accepted the thought form, if the program is running, that those mercury fillings are killing you, right? If you're walking around with that, which at the time when I got my mercury fillings removed, of course, I was under the impression that they were very, very bad for health, right? I looked at the research of mercury ingestion. I mean, it's the way that dentists have gone about. I mean, they're acting like butchers, and throwing these mercury amalgam fillings in everyone's mouth. It should be illegal, especially in children. So I'm glad I got it out, but I don't know, the risk cost analysis and like how much is it worth? I don't know. Can you put a dollar value on the clarity of mind on that issue? I'm not sure. I just don't know. If it's worth it to you, then do it. Marlene Duke. What's up, Marlene Duke? Marlene Duke says, Tristan, I took a history class last semester. The book and instructor actually taught about things we don't learn, propaganda, truths of history, etc. Made me more interested in history. That's awesome. Yeah, that's why when I was at university, I studied history. That was what I was fascinated. I wanted to understand, how did we get here? And where are we going? And what the heck happened before we were here, right? That's always fascinated me, right? Like, where does language come from? Where does the English language come from? That was one of the first, my parents taught it to me. Well, mom and dad, who taught it to them? Their parents. Well, who taught it to them? It's like I wanted to know. I wanted to unlock the mysteries of life, the mysteries of the universe, the mysteries of the planet we live on, right? All these ancient megalithic structures that we can't even recreate today. Where did these come from, right? So history is fascinating. But it's also, there's a million different rabbit holes, a million different agendas being pushed through historical narratives. So, you're walking into a minefield of intellectual, masturbation, a lot of it too, right? Just hyper focus on single events in history and obsessing over, Theodore Roosevelt's vacation habits, right? There's people who make entire careers out of micro analysis of these little things. I'm not so interested in that. I'm more interested in, like you said, I studied propaganda. That was a lot of my thesis. And many of the courses that I did were about propaganda, public relations, Edward Bernays, 20th century history. So yeah, it's fascinating. Keep going. Keep exploring, Marlene. I'm glad you're taking courses and you've got professors that are, or instructors. You might even be in high school. And I'm glad you've got instructors and professors that are actually teaching you proper analysis, the historicity of things. You got to look at primary documents. You have to look at more than just what people say, right? Don't just look at other people's analysis of it. And this is the same in the sciences. You don't just look at other people's analysis. You look at where the funding came from too, right? Very crucial. So yeah, history is amazing. I love history. Emilier says, since starting keto, I haven't taken any opiate painkillers at all. Kratom hits those receptors, but I think I'm ready to move on. Didn't know anything about adaptogens until Tristan mentioned maca. All right, well, there's a few statements there. Thanks for watching. I'm glad you're off the painkillers. Kratom is an opioid, right? So you've been using an opioid to get off the opiates. I think Kratoms can be very, very powerful for people fighting opiate addiction. I think it's incredible. And I'm very glad that it didn't get, by magical decree by the priests of our age, that the FDA, the DEA, or USDA, I forget which one it was. I think it was the FDA. I'm glad it didn't get Schedule 1 in the United States. But I mean, we've still got to watch this, right? I mean, this is a big issue. The sovereignty of us as human beings and what we're allowed to put into our body, right? Can somebody else tell you what you're allowed to eat, what you're allowed to ingest? Should it be regulated? So yeah, I'm glad you're exercising your freedom as a human being, as a person here, given a body, given free will to break the bondage from these pharmaceutical opiates. Congratulations. Don't just trade it for bondage to kratom, right? Even though it's a more gentle bondage, you can still become a slave to that. So we have to rearrange the entire relationship with these things, the entire relationship we have with reality, And painkillers can really distort that. Shoot, I mean, I've seen, I'm the painkiller generation, right? So we are the millennials, the painkillers and bubblegum pop generation. All right. Let's see. Lobster Dust says, Tristan, you should go vegan. Your third eye would open instantly. That'd be so cool. My third eye would. You know what? I was vegan. And although my third eye was so open, it was just too much for me. Just to see all these subhuman meat eaters populating this planet, destroying it with their evil meat eating carnivorousness. And then I have to share my space with this disgusting creature right here. Look at him. Look at him. Sickly, dying from eating the flesh of other beings its entire life. Look at this disgusting carnivore. Open your freaking third eye, Duke. Be vegan, bro. Fluoroquinolones are also poison. Check your spelling on that. I read it how he spelled it. I think it's fluoroquinones. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything that's a dielectric blocker, we don't want to be putting into our body consistently, right? I mean, fluoride is a dielectric blocker. We put electrolytes and water in our body to carry electrical current. And then you put something that's a dielectric blocker like fluoride in there, and it completely blocks it. We wonder why our brains are calcifying, why people aren't able to critically think. We wonder why. When we're ingesting neurotoxins regularly, that'll happen, So good water is crucial, right? If there is fluoride in your local water supply, it's your right, and maybe it's your responsibility to get that removed. It's usually at the city council level, but I mean, it was a major fight in Santa Cruz. There are billions of dollars that have been spent in the last 30 years trying to get fluoride pushed into the water supply. Luckily, in Santa Cruz, there's a lot of people interested in health, right? A lot of people interested in eating healthy, living healthy. In California in general, there's a lot of people interested in living healthy, eating healthy. And, fortunately, they were able to keep fluoride out of the water supply in that municipality for a long time. But the year we left, I mean, we were still fighting it. It was still going on. And the smart meters came in. All right. So, yeah, I mean, sourcing spring water, high quality water, unfluoridated water, or simply filtering the fluoride out of your water, right? Like a reverse osmosis system to remove those heavy metals, to remove the toxic fluoride and chlorine from the water supply and all the pharmaceutical drugs that are in the water supply also, right? Birth control pills, residue of birth control pills found in most municipal water supply. And we wonder why people are saying, Tristan, you should go vegan. Your third eye will open. You can be smug like me. All right. Marlene Duke says, Sean Crabell, you don't have to pay for the expensive extraction. Even those cause mercury in the system. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at earlier, right? Because through the extraction, like the taking out of these, you do get exposed to the mercury. She says you can find a dentist who will do it carefully, then do chelation after. It cost me around $2,000. Yeah, I mean, when I got it done, it was less than $2,000. No, it was a little bit, I think it was a little over, but I had no insurance, right? So you got to go to a dentist, like find a physician, or what do you call it? You don't call a dentist a physician, but find a dentist that you trust, that you know, and that you connect with, right? Look into their eyes, get to know them as a human being, just like you, and tell them straight up, look, if you don't have insurance, look, I don't have insurance and I really need this done. Like, work with me on this. And they will. So Dr. Biles, he hooked me up back in the day. But you do have to be careful because of the exposure. Now, I'm not an expert on this. I'm not a doctor. I'm not your financial advisor. But I wish you the best, and I hope you make the right decision for you. Okay. Incognito, what's up? Bell Green. Sean, what's up, man? Carrie S. Hello, Carrie. Linda LaRue, what's up? Okay. Where else? Got someone else talking about root canals and the danger of root canals. That's very interesting. That's a fascinating subject. And I've seen a lot of this evidence, and it's alarming. The root canal linked to cancers and autoimmune conditions seems pretty intense. All right, Emilia, what's up? She says the concept of language is insane when you think about it. Yeah, of course. It's incredible. We very rarely think about it. But, you know, kids and babies are sure amazed with it. I mean, language is incredible. Dan M says tap water has fluoride. It's actually an international protocol for preventing caries of the population, except dental caries are increasing through the use of fluoride. It's actually there. Okay, so this is an international protocol because internationally governments care so much about preventing dental caries, right? No, fluoride, sodium fluoride is an industrial waste product and a byproduct of aluminum manufacturing. It also lowers the IQ of children, retards brain function, and calcifies parts of the brain that are quite important for endocrine function, for circadian rhythm, for health in general, for cognition and perception. It's a neurotoxin. It's not there to prevent dental caries. Look up fluorosis, dental fluorosis. In areas where people have loads of fluoride in the water, fluorosis creates dental issues, right? So you're making teeth more brittle. You're blocking the uptake of magnesium. It's really not in our best interest, right? Keith Williams is asking about the Nag Hammadi scrolls. Yeah. And the Sumerian writings. You mean the Sumerian, Sumerian tablets. Yeah, I've seen these. I've not seen the Nag Hammadi scrolls in person. Yeah. So yeah, of course I know about the Nag Hammadi texts and the Sumerian tablets, the cuneiform tablets. And I know about the quacks out there like Zecharia Sitchin pushing false narratives about him through their own interpretation and analysis, which, you know, in my opinion, of course, there's an agenda there. So yeah, of course I've heard of the Sumerian writings, but I'm not buying into the Zecharia Sitchin Kool-Aid, right? When you actually look at other translations, there's many different interpretations of these. That's what I'll say. Marlene Duke says, amen on what you said about history, funding, etc., especially with health issues. Look for funding and agendas, right? Well, I mean, a person who's been taught to critically think, a person who's been taught how to use their rational mind properly will, of course, always ask, why is this published? Or why is this edited like this? Why did they cut right there? What happened in between those edits? Right? Okay. All right. Let's see here. Emily A. Morgan says, Tristan, you've mentioned resetting leptin levels before. Can you explain more about leptin and its function, what this means? Leptin is a satiety hormone. You kind of look at it like your own little calorie counter in your body. Leptin's actually very, very important. When you look into the studies here, instead of trying to tell you what to think about leptin, here's what I'll say. Important satiety hormone rises when we have sufficient calories, regulates energy output, and we don't fully understand it yet. It was only recently discovered. It's as important as insulin, in my opinion, and needs to be studied more. And I want you to look up some of the studies on leptin injections, on exogenous leptin for diabetes and obesity. Look up leptin. It's not being looked into much at all right now, unfortunately. Okay. Okay, here we go. What's going on here? Matt Mello, what's up, man? Rana CJP, hello. Matt says, how do you get the energy for high-intensity workouts or sports games? I always find myself not being able to get through them all the way. How do I get the energy? It's just there. It's there when I need it. So how do I get it? I don't know. I rest when I need to. I regenerate when I need to. Sometimes not enough. Sometimes I go for too long. But it's about this balance, right? Health is about a delicate balance between energy exertion and energy collection. You got to collect energy to put energy out, right? We're tubes. Energy comes in, energy flows out. We get to pick what types of energy come in and what types of energy flows out. How cool is that? How amazing is that? All right. Does a water alkalizer remove fluoride? What is a water alkalizer? I mean, I've seen these alkaline water machines. There's a bunch of them. I'm not sure. I mean, some of them probably will remove fluoride. A reverse osmosis will remove most fluoride. Okay. Marlene Duke says, Dr. John Ioannis. I can't say that name. That's a wild name. Dr. John Mauyanis has a brief and fascinating paper called Fluoride, the Silent Killer. It describes the dangers of fluoride toothpaste, rinses, and topicals, and fluoride in general. Yes, absolutely. You know, I mean, unfortunately, the population has been so... I mean, the quality of propaganda out there these days is it's pathetic, right? Like, I can see right through it. People who have intelligence can see right through it. People who have studied how this stuff works, who've studied public relations, propaganda, the advertising world, history of the 21st century, Edward Bernays, the Nazi propaganda, Soviet propaganda, you know, World War II American propaganda. People who have studied this understand that all this corporate media that we're getting is being filtered, right? I mean, the television was first invented in Germany during World War II, and it was hailed. I mean, Hitler looked at it as the ultimate tool for creating social cohesion and for the social control of the population. It's powerful, right? Images, audio, and video, full immersion in everybody's home, beaming the same words, right? I mean, the printing press was amazing for spreading information, for allowing cultures to form, cults to formulate, knowledge, information to disseminate. It's amazing. Completely changed humanity. And here we are with the new printing press, the internet. Everybody can now put information out there. It's fascinating. That doesn't mean that all information is on the internet too. Yeah. Forget how I got there. All right. Christine says they're getting fluoride from China. They can't test for quality on it either. It's a waste product. Well, who's getting fluoride from China? I don't know. You know, how crazy is that, right? I mean, if your local municipality is using sodium fluoride in the water supply because they've been duped by the propaganda, that tells you that it's good, right? That mocks people, that even ask the question, should we have sodium fluoride? Which when you look at rat poison, it's rat poison, right? Look at the old bottles of sodium fluoride. It's straight up poison. It is poison. It will kill you. It's used to kill rats. It lowers IQ. Should we be putting it? It makes our bones brittle, hard and brittle. Fluorosis. But I mean, it's amazing though, right? Like 20th century propaganda has been so effective at demonizing people who even question anything, right? I mean, anything that the media doesn't want you to question, it's so easy to block it cognitively, right? A few repetitions. You have the cultural figures, the idols, the icons of the age. State an opinion, spoon fed to them. Millions of people gobble it up and repeat it. It's unfortunate, but that's how it works. It's how it's always worked. It's human nature. We want authority figures, right? We want social cohesion. We want community. That's not the problem. The problem is not like community, right? The problem is our basic desires as human beings for connection, for social cohesion, for the power that comes with uniting minds, intentions, and hearts, with like-minded people, with family, with friends. The power that comes from that is real, right? But it gets harnessed into this mass madness, the mass movements, right? The Soviet Union, Nazi Germany, radical Islam, whatever you want. I mean, there's a million different examples of this. The want to belong, the desire to be a part of something meaningful, a part of a group. This is a human need. We need to find meaning in life, right? We need to. And if we don't, we wither away and die. So these desires of us, these natural these built-in desires that allow us to thrive, to reach higher for meaning, right? To want to make things better, to measure our actions and do our best to behave in a way that makes things better for everybody around us and for future generations. That gets like hijacked, right? That intention gets hijacked and harnessed for mass movements and mass psychosis. And then people will defend things and they'll make fun of you, right? Like, oh, you don't want fluoride in your water? You must be a conspiracy theorist, right? It's just, remember the scene in Doctor Strangelove? Was it Jack T. Ripper? We're poisoning our precious bodily fluids. Okay. Odubai Strissy, what's up? Scott Reynolds, how's it going? Scott Reynolds says, you hear on keto, many say, just lift, no need for cardio, no mega fat loss, for mega fat loss. True or false? CrossFit versus just lifting weights? Okay. Well, it's not like either or, right? It's not like either CrossFit, high intensity, bust till you bleed, or lifting weights. Of course, you don't need cardio for mega fat loss. You also don't need any exercise for mega fat loss, technically, right? I mean, technically, all you need is diet for fat loss. But for general health, for your dopamine levels, improving your cardiovascular health is great. There's nothing wrong with cardio. Chronic cardio and anything out of balance, anything that brings us out of this delicate, beautiful balance of health and happiness, right? We need a balance of activity and rest, of anabolic, of catabolic, of hardcore pushing and battling and relaxing and enjoying the fruits of your labor, right? We need balance. CrossFit or, lifting heavy weights chronically can interfere with that if you go too crazy, just like intensive cardio can interfere with that if you go too crazy. We need rest, we need sleep, and we need to regenerate. So it's about balance, and it's about what works for you. If CrossFit is what floats your boat, if you like that, that's kind of like the most important thing, right? The most important thing about like the exercise that you do is not what type of exercise is it. The dose makes the toxins, so too much of anything is bad. So it's not exactly the type. And of course, there's certain movements and there's critiques of CrossFit that are valid, but they can also become a straw man because any CrossFit gym, anyone can own a CrossFit gym. There can be great CrossFit gyms and awful ones that are destroying their clients' health. But it's about balance. You got to find a nice balance of rest, relaxation, and exertion and intensity. If you like CrossFit, if you like the community aspect of it, if that gets you up in the morning and gets you out and gets you hyped, that's great. Or if you like lifting heavy weights, if you want to bench press 300 pounds one day, right? Don't look at it like that in the beginning. If you're just starting out, first, you want to bench press 100 pounds, right? 145, 225. It takes time. But having goals and having something to work for is very, very important, right? But we don't want to mistake the goal for the real gem, which is the experience. Right? It's far better to have lifestyle is more important than goals, right? What's a good way to say this? I had this article that I had read recently. Where did it go? Where did that go? And indeed, that is the question, whether to float with the tide or to swim for a goal. It is a choice we must all make consciously or unconsciously at one time in our lives. So few people understand this. Think of any decision you've ever made which had a bearing on your future. I may be wrong, but I don't see it how it could have been anything but a choice, however indirect, between the two things I've mentioned, the floating or the swimming. Whether to float with the tide or swim for a goal. But why not float if you have no goal? That's another question. It's unquestionably better to enjoy the floating than to swim in uncertainty. So how does a man find a goal? Not a castle in the stars, but a real and tangible thing. How can a man be sure he's not after the big rock candy mountain, the enticing sugar candy goal that has little taste and no substance? The answer, in a sense, the tragedy of life, is that we seek to understand the goal and not the man. We set up a goal which demands of us certain things, and we do these things. We adjust to the demands of a concept which cannot be valid. When you were young, let us say that you wanted to be a fireman. I feel reasonably safe in saying that you no longer want to be a fireman. Why? Because your perspective has changed. It's not the fireman who's changed, but you. Every man is the sum total of his reactions to experience. As your experiences differ and multiply, you become a different man, and hence your perspective changes. This goes on and on. Every reaction is a learning process. Every significant experience alters your perspective. I'll skip this one. As I said, to put our faith in tangible goals would seem to be... Ari, skip back. Whoa! A battery just exploded in my house. You all right? You just got scared, huh? You're fine. That is insane. Hey, you were outside when it happened, right? Okay. Well, that was crazy. I gotta go. Everything's okay. We just had a crazy electrical outlet bust and a battery burn in the house, and my daughter's a little freaked out. I'm gonna leave it at that. Don't strive to. Here's how this piece finished. We don't strive to be bankers or policemen or doctors. We strive to be ourselves. All right, I'm signing out. PrimalEdgeHealth.com for more. Bye.